Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the US stock market, recapping last week's moves, weekend updates, and what's next, and some stocks to watch. Let's keep it tight and actionable. Smash the like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. So, last week, the markets has taken a breather a little bit, honestly, bouncing up and down, looking like a kangaroo. The Dow dipped 0.2%, SPY 0.5%, and NASDAQ dropped 0.3%, ending a 2-week rally. With that being said, we did have a little bit of a rally with Tesla. We'll look at some price targets for Tesla a little bit later, and also some trade talks that is going on a little bit later. But the US and UK trade deal Thursday gave stocks a pop, but uncertainty around US China trade talks kept things choppy. The Fed held rates at 4.25 to 4.5%, and Fed Jerome warning about the tariff driven inflation risk and solid job reports of 177,000 jobs added in April ease the slowdown fears. One thing that will never fail you during a bearish or bullish run is your long term. I recommend checking out the long term in the description below. It's literally a course that shows you what stocks to buy, how to find long term stocks, and honestly, how to trade for beginners. It has step to step guide and everything that you really need to know about charts and everything to make you profitable. You can even use what you learn in here into your short-term trades. Thank you. So without further ado, let's get more into what is going on. So over the weekend, US-China trade talks in Geneva are the big story. We're going to be talking big about that a little bit later. Let's get up some news and stuff like that. With that being said, US-China tariff talks to continue Sunday and basically the second day. And Trump actually said that it is going pretty well. With that being said, what is going on at the Geneva? So US-China trade talks, top US officials are basically meeting with China's economic boss. And they met yesterday on Saturday, May 17th, 2025. This is the first face-to-face since Trump slapped the 145% tariffs on Chinese imports in April 2025. And China hit them back with 125% tariff. Basically a big economic cage match, basically. So spiking inflation, stressing markets, showing stress just overall. But what is going on? So basically why it's a big deal. So basically, these trade talks are going to be an icebreaker, basically to de-escalate the trade war and kind of get better things. The U.S. is facing inflation risk, and basically China exports drop by 21%, and they can lose up to 16 million jobs in China. Both sides are feeling the heat, but neither wants to kind of look weak. So Trump even said China wants a deal, but he's not playing the hardball. But he's playing hardball, sorry. So basically, what to expect. So don't hold your breath for a full deal. Post on X and reports like Time say that a symbolic tariff cut, maybe 50 to 60% is possible. And we seen yesterday with yesterday's video, Trump posts on Truth Social saying 80% doesn't sound too bad. So I mean, 80% is better than 145%, but people are expecting way more. So honestly, I don't know how the market's really going to react to that. But Trump got political pressure to stay tough, and China's got economic workarounds. So it's a poker game, basically. A meeting on May 17th could move markets if it's any hint of progress. So if we see some progress, markets can move up or down. So what are the markets looking like? So they're basically jittery, but also hopeful. The SPY and NASDAQ clawed back 15% of losses from April's tariff shock, and China's stimulus rate cut cash injection has boosted sentiment. Japan and Germany's markets are also up, but tariffs settling at 22%, 4 times pre-Trump levels, could also slow growth. So keep that in mind. So what else is going on? So other trade deals. So we already know about the US and the UK trade deal, basically just a great trade deal, honestly. Also, some other things in context. Trump is pushing dozens of trade deals, and a US deal with Britain fueled hope for China talks. Warned with the high tariffs long term could raise US deficits 7.1% of GDP in 2026. So this can show big pressure on the US. So look, some stocks to trade with this. Look at NVIDIA, Palantir, Uber, Walmart, and Coinbase. Why NVIDIA? Because semiconductors are tariff sensitive. So honestly, just for this week, man, just honestly watch the news. Any leaks or anything that comes out, check X and everything like that, could move futures Sunday night and markets on Monday. Positive signal might lift tech, NVIDIA and Palantir and crypto, and a flop could also hit riskier assets. So keep that in mind. Volatility. So stock with earnings, Uber, Coin, AMD are already volatile. Use options, spreads, straddles to play swings, but keep the position size small. Just honestly, man, don't risk too much this week and just wait for news to come out. Because even when news comes out, man, you buy the rumor, sell the news. So keep that in mind too. With that being said, before we get some plays, some supports and resistance, some other news, gasoline prices. How does under $3 a gallon sound this summer? That'll be insane if we can get underneath $3 a gallon. Right now, gas is pretty cheap right now too. But honestly, man, later on, if we can get $3, I mean, that's going to help out a lot of people, especially with the old prices we had, which is insane. Trump is hailing trillion in new company investments. Most of it comes from big tech. So you got people like Apple and stuff like that investing a lot of money, but that is just a lot of money coming into the US, making new jobs and stuff like that. But Trump does say that we have great progress on the trade talks with the US and China. So keep that in mind. That might bring markets up just from the rumor. But honestly, I really just want to see a direct headline before I trade any stocks. With that being said, what are we looking at? So we went in more in depth yesterday's video. So if you want a bigger video basically explaining everything in depth, look at the video from yesterday. But basically on Monday, we just got some speeches and monthly US federal budget at 2 p.m. And then on Tuesday, we got CPI that's going to move the markets a decent amount. So for earnings, I mainly just pumped about Walmart and Home Depot, but keep the other ones on your mind and on your radar. Sony also, screenshot this list if you guys want. Now, what a lot of you guys are pumped up for, some plays and stuff like that. So first off, we're going to start off with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is trading pretty decently. So with that being said, just watch how Bitcoin moves. If Bitcoin starts moving upwards and or downwards, you can play MSTR option plays, I recommend. And to the upside, look at that 420, 425, 430, 440, and 450. To the downside, look at 412, 410, 405, and that 400 level is going to be key. Past that 400 level, look at 390 and 380. But honestly, just have your patience with this one because honestly, it's going to move with Bitcoin exactly. So Bitcoin is buying, buy. If Bitcoin is selling, sell, calls and puts. But honestly, man, the in the money plays are around $3,000. So if we go over to this ETF that moves exactly with Bitcoin, it's literally $300 for in the money plays, and out of the money plays are cheaper as it goes. Especially if Bitcoin moves a lot, you can make a decent amount of money off IBIT. But this is one that I recommend looking at is IBIT. If you want to play some option plays, make a decent amount of money. Especially if Bitcoin moves a lot, you can make a decent amount of money. Like if you would have bought a call option here at $53, would have went all the way up to $59, and you would have probably made a bunch of money. So just have your patience with it. And honestly, man, yeah, same thing with the SPY. Have your patience, see how it opens up. It normally sells off or buys back, so you can get into the trend. But with that being said, some levels to look at for the SPY. Look at 565.5, 566.5, 567.5, 568, and that 570 level. 570 is going to be key. If you break above that, look at 571.5, 572.5, and that 575 level. To the downside, look at 564, 563, 562.5, 560. 560 is going to be key, a level that we've been bouncing off of a bunch. And then below that, look at 558.5 and that 557.5 to the downside. Next one we're going to be looking at is Apple because Apple has been jumping up and down. To the upside, look at that 200 level. If we can break above that 200 level, look at 201.5, 202, 203.5, and that 205 level. And the next after that, look at 210. To the downside, look at 198, 197, 195, and then all the way down to that 190 level for Apple. Since we're getting some great news with the H20 chip and stuff like that, I'm looking at NVIDIA to the upside, but just have your patience because honestly, sometimes news just doesn't want to move this stock. With that being said, to the upside, look at 117, 118.5, 120 is going to be key. If we break above that 120, look at 121.5, 125, and 130. To the downside, look at 115.5, 114, 112.5, and 110. With that being said, if we get some great news out of these talks, we're going to have great news with the trade war and also have great news with the H20 chip becoming available in China again. So this can rally up a lot. So just look at the video for this week if we do get great news. If not, you might see it selling off a little bit. Next is Palantir. Palantir is honestly one of the safest stocks we have right now, but it does have downside risk all the way down to like that $80 level. So keep that in mind. But we do have upside risk all the way up to like that 130 to maybe even 150 if we start rallying. With that being said, to the upside, look at 118. 120 is going to be key. Past the 120, look at 122, 125, 126, and all the way up to that 130 level. To the downside, if we do start selling off, like I was saying before, look at that 115, 113.5, 110 is going to be key. If we bounce below that 110, look at 109, 107, and then all the way down to that $100 level for Palantir. Next is Tesla. We have been rallying up a lot. Look at that 300 level. If we bounce above that 300 level, that's a level that everybody's watching. Look at that 305, 307, 310, 315, and 320, and all the way up to that 330 level. To the downside, 298, 294, 290. 290 is going to be key, and then all the way down to that 285 and then 280. Tesla is going to move pretty fast, so just have your patience and also just don't marry one side. If you start seeing it sell off, you can play to the downside. If you start seeing it buy, play to the upside. This is like a momentum-driven stock. Especially if you see it buying a lot, you can probably get into that little play, make your 10 to 20% for the day, and then get out. Don't risk too much on this one, though, at the same time, and also watch news. But with that being said, man, good luck trading this week. Check out our course, smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.